are expected to seek out the best. 2 words to describe the activity.
The Yoruba Unity Forum is
to you on
Be the first to know.
on Core TV News.
From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa.
Presidential
We break the news.
Women in Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live
I wish you would.
as the news breaks. We are Core TV News,
Welcome to Core TV Primetime
our
News.
24-hour news station.
Thanks for joining us again. It's Core Digest Thursday, exclusive to Core TV News here in Lagos. Now, earlier we showed you the debate at the floor of the Senate yesterday as regards what the senators' response and reactions are to what transpired at the National Assembly complex last week, Thursday. We also brought you a part of the meeting between the IGP and the House Committee on Police Affairs. This is the other side of the story. Quite interesting. Let's check it out.
I expect you to acknowledge Alhaji Aminu Waziri Tambuwal as the Speaker of this House, pending the interpretation of a judiciary which is settled by the Constitution of this country, for or otherwise. I will not sit down and allow an appointee of another arm of government to disrespect the status and the office of the Mr. Speaker of the National Assembly. It's either the IGP is retracting that statement now, or I, as an individual, will have to take my leave, because that means this sitting is illegal.
You know too well, matters before the court are not commented upon. I believe it will be sub judice for me to comment on a matter that is before the court.
So that was exactly how the meeting ended abruptly, because the IGP could not bring himself to address Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal as the Speaker of the House. Now, that particular position from the IGP has started raising insinuations as regards the intention of the Nigerian police at the National Assembly complex last Thursday. Of course, you recall that the position of the APC was that there were plans to impeach Mr. Speaker. Well, how all of this will impact, only time will tell. But I'm joined now by a legal practitioner, Barrister Libras Oshomo, is a public affairs analyst as well as a legal practitioner. Thank you very much for joining us today on Core Digest. Why art thou forsaking us? It's been a while. But then, let me quickly take your legal perspective of all of this. The last thing we heard from the court was that status quo be maintained. There seems to be different versions of interpreting what status quo means at this time.
It's unfortunate that we have found ourselves in this quagmire that we are today. Not because there are no laws, but because men just intentionally refuse to abide by the laws of our land. And now it is common for everybody to begin to tell you this is what maintain status quo means and all of that, for personal reasons and personal gain. Ordinarily, in saner climes, it would have been, when you say maintain status quo, what was the position before the war? You know, we call it status quo ad tempellum. That's the position before the war. So go back to the position before this crisis that brought you to court. And that is what you mean by status quo. But in most cases, you find out that parties go to court, they ask for a restraining order. The court refused restraining order, but says maintain status quo. That means granting the restraining order in, another breath. Say, look, maintain status quo. I will not restrain anybody, but maintain status quo since the matter is sub judice. And then parties go to sleep. We've seen so many cases that have been warehoused in this climb. You just intentionally bring a matter to court. And I tell you this, it is not young junior lawyers that are doing these things. Senior advocates, in every of these political cases, you see 5 senior advocates this way, 7 senior advocates that way. And so you now begin to ask yourself if, those that are supposed to be the defenders, the protectors of the institution, the profession, are those that are intentionally, for their personal gain, looking for opportunity and how to destroy, that same sacred profession, then you have a crisis coming in your hands.
But from your own perspective, how would you interpret status quo in this particular case?
No, from my own perspective, like I already told you, the position before the war. What was the position before the war? The position before the war was that Aminu Tambuwa was the speaker. So and all we can do is to say, look, ask for accelerated hearing. Accelerated hearing, find a way of determining, because of the importance of this case, find a way of determining it timelessly so that, for the benefit of all Nigerians, so we know where to go.
How would you describe the IGP's position of interpreting?
Look, let me tell you.
He talked about it would be sub judice if he acknowledges Aminu Tambuwa as speaker.
Because let me tell you, he said they had asked him to retract a statement. I just heard the clip, and he said since the matter is sub judice, he would not want to comment on that matter. It's a smart way of trying to avoid the issues. But in another breath, if you remember the case of Tony Momo against the National Assembly, Tony Momo did write a comment in the then Daily Times, against the members of the National Assembly. And then the committee invited him on them, and the man went to court that, look, this is a matter against you. You can't be a judge in your own case. It's, one of the twin pillars of natural justice. So I expected, also in the same vein, I wouldn't be surprised if the IGP, rushed to court to protect, his further invitation by the House, because this matter is, the House is the complainant, and they are the one also that are the judge in this matter. So at the end of the day, head or tail, definitely the IG will say, I cannot get fair hearing here. And so you're trying to hound me into submission. I will refuse to do it. And so it's becoming very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting.
The last time I checked, the arm of government that has the responsibility of interpreting the law should be the judiciary.
Yes.
And then many have started asking the role of the Nigerian police in all of this. Now, you recall also that he mentioned that they acted on an intelligence report that Amici and others led a protest in Abuja, and there were also opinions that they might lead such protests to the National Assembly, and they came to maintain law and order. But from his position of not being able to call Aminu Tambuwa the speaker, do you smell any foul that probably
there's a contradiction between that statement and then
the position of the APC that there were even plans to impeach the speaker on that particular day?
Yeah, you see, like I told you, Nigeria will gradually pushing the country to a situation of lawlessness, and like they say in a lawless country, obeying the law becomes very illegal. So that's where gradually we are drifting to, where even lawmakers and the executive arm, violate the law with impunity. Ordinarily, if you look at that section, let me take you back a little bit. If you look at that section, 68(1)G, you would say it is very clear that once you leave your party, before we get to the proviso, once you leave your party, your seat automatically becomes vacant.
Okay.
It is now for you to invoke the proviso that you're leaving the party is as a result of crisis or factionalization in your party. That will be a matter of evidence. That will be a matter of evidence. And you cannot call evidence if you don't go to court. Just like it happened in Benson or Alegbe and Oloyo in then Bende State House of Assembly, when Alegbe declared Oloyo's seat vacant. But in this case, what we have consistently have is a situation where PDP had been the beneficiary of all of this defection until recently, when the opposition party merged and they started, benefiting. If you even remember the Court of Appeal decision in the Labour Party case in Ondo State, the Court of Appeal said that once you leave, your seats, automatically becomes vacant, and so that if you defect, and you have not been able to substantially establish that the defection was as a result of the crisis in your party. But what have consistently happened before now, even in Edo State not too long ago, was that PDP had been the one receiving, benefiting. And then it was always very convenient also for them to tell you, go to court.
Just a minute, let's take this call from Benin. You mentioned that just Edo now, and then we have Ogbeifo calling from Benin. Good morning, Ogbeifo. How are you today? Are you there? Let's go ahead with your contribution, if you can hear me, Ogbeifo.
I hear you loud and clear.
Go ahead with the contribution, please.
Yes, I want to contribute to it, please. You know, I really want to say that we, the masses, you to see the judiciary what they are hiding in the corner, says they are continuing to play it to tell us that they are not the hope for the common man. You know, I have seen it in some kind of partial way from some time ago. Around in this era we are, that the judiciary, they are not for the common man. And they are not there for the truth. It is only few, inside 100. It's only few, maybe up to about 5. You see what I'm saying this is that you can recall that in Ekiti, impeachment goes on there. And before that impeachment, that speaker, it was a judge that swore in that speaker. I don't know whether it was the governor that swore in the speaker on his own. Then the judge that swore in the speaker, I believe. Now, if it's the judge that swore in the speaker, are you telling me that this judge don't know the procedure? The procedure is that supposed to go. Then, that aside, now let us go back to the era of the so-called the government of the day. You have 19 started long time ago. I don't think that you people can recall it. We are 19 when 16. And you are telling me, or you are saying that there should be rule of law, my friend. Look, let us continue it like this, and I believe I'm enjoying it. So,
it's all right, I'm grateful.
I have seen now that even uniform, with your Bible there, I can take your Bible and put it in my pocket, and I will slap you, nothing will happen. So that is just the country we have today. Nigeria are so happy for this kind of comedy that is going on.
Oh my, come on.
Thank you.
Yeah, Weseo, thank you very much for calling. But let's look at, because you started with the section 68,
yes.
I know you want to react to that, but don't you think that there is a level of ambiguity?
No.
Because
no.
You talked about the first part that talked about
There's
the
no
situation being vacant.
ambiguity
In our sense,
here.
that is if...
There is no ambiguity. It's as clear. Give that section to a primary 6 student to read and say, what do you understand by this? That once you leave, your seats becomes vacant. But provided you can show. How do you show? You need to show by way of evidence.
Okay.
It is not for you to begin to argue on the floor of the house. You need to go to court and show. But like I told you, PDP had been the beneficiary
There has been
all
another
of
status
this
quo
while.
prior to this time.
Exactly, and so it's been a state of lawlessness. Now, the other party, the opposition party, is benefiting, and also they are now giving PDP their own medicine to say, look, you go to court, because we had been going to court when it affected us. And so rather than what, like I consistently maintain, what should have happened would be, okay, now Tambo had gone to court, ask for accelerated hearing. Let's not begin to take the law into our hands. Let's not begin to usurp the powers.
Let me just hold you
of
for
another
another
arm of
minute.
government.
We have Demola calling from Ekiti. What part of Ekiti is Demola calling from? Good morning, Demola.
Hello.
What part of Ekiti are you calling from?
Yes. Good morning. I'm listening to you, my brother.
It's all right. Go ahead with the contribution, please.
I'm speaking from Ado.
All right.
I'm speaking from Ado.
Go ahead with the contribution, Demola.
You see, the barrister seated there has answered me. I said his contribution right away from your side, he has answered the question we are trying to track in this meeting. You see, there are institutions in this country, and institutions are made up of laws, rules, and regulations. But that are running the institutions are the problems we have. Like the barrister said, there are laws in this country. There are rules and regulations guiding every activity and processes. Because people deliberately, the operators deliberately refuse, maybe by virtue of their understanding, by virtue of their training, by virtue of their disposition, by virtue of their interest, by virtue of proclivity, they refuse to obey those rules and regulations we have in this country. Now look at the issue of the judiciary and the legislation that we're trying to talk about here. They know what is right, but people refuse to obey. Now, this one will result into a situation whereby, at the long run in this country, people just take law to their hands. Like the last caller said, everybody is in a serious quagmire in this country. We know it, but that's just the simple truth.
It's all right. Thank you for your contribution, Debola from Ekiti.
We just need prayer.
It's all right. And we'll keep praying. I promise you. But Nigerians have been praying for a long time, but don't let us go there. Would you say that the IGP refusing to acknowledge Tambuwal, does it really has the backing of the law at this time?
At this time, since the matter had been submitted to for adjudication before a competent court, okay, I think the IGP should have, removed sentiment. Even if you don't like the person of Aminu Tambuwal, even if you don't like, this position, try as much as you can to be neutral. Because now, the matter had been submitted for adjudication. It doesn't remove anything from me to say, oh, Mr. Speaker, let the court now decide that, look, all the speaker that you have called him, that you have addressed him, that the man from the day he left, ceases to be the speaker.
Has the police been neutral in all of this?
In all of, as much as they try to tell us that they are neutral, but I would say with the IG's body language also that I would very much doubt if to say that they have been neutral. You know why? Because if we agree there were demonstrations that day, and Tambuwal probably was even coming from the demonstration. But as soon as he came, the easiest thing to have done would have been, search him and search all other members that came with him, and those that don't have business in the house, you refuse them entry. Just allow them. That would have, stopped all of this crisis. And they're now scaling the fence. While I condemn scaling the fence, because I can't, I would do that. But in the same vein, if you look at the case of Ekiti, where several lawmakers...
Obviously, if they didn't scale the fence,
no, that's what I'm saying.
There's possibility that Tambuwal would have been impeached by now.
Yes, exactly. So anybody that is saying that, is justified for saying, look, because of what happened in Ekiti, and then also because of what had happened in Rivers, where 4 lawmakers sat down to want to impeach a governor, a situation where we had seen 16 greater than 19 that people are referring to, a situation also where 8 lawmakers have sat down in Plateau to impeach a governor in a house of 36 members, a situation where 13 out of 38 or so impeach the Alamesi out of Obasanjo's time. So anything could have happened. So that is why I was quickly here. I was listening to your last interview, and then I tell people, I must quickly say this. People, Obasanjo is talking now because he had planned this. Obasanjo wanted this all along. I will bring in somebody who will not perform as I am, or who people will perceive not to.
Can you confirm that?
Yes, I'm telling you this because he wanted a top 10. Nigerians refused Obasanjo a top 10. And at the end of the day, what happened? Even when people cried that Yaradua was not fit, the man insisted, Moro, they say you are dead. Are you dead? And then, if you remember the 2011 election also. And so now, the same man turning around to tell us, good luck this, good luck that.
We have to wrap up this segment now. The House is scheduled to reconvene on the 3rd of December. Will someone like Ogbefo be disappointed to see any drama?
It won't, because already we have prepared our mind for more drama. You know, those days they used to say 1 week, one trouble. Now 1 week, many trouble. And so once they reconvene, you'll probably see another drama happening. Like I said, what we gradually have now is a situation of lawlessness. And so it will become illegal to be law-abiding. And don't be surprised that also it will be easy now. If a man jumps your fence into your compound and then you call the police, say, go and sit down there, after all, our honorable members are jumping the fence. Or you get to your house someday, the police, the DPO in the area had come to lock the door, your gate, that you cannot enter your compound or that from above. So gradually, what we are seeing now is anything goes, depending on who you know. And it will not all go well for our country.
The last time we saw the presidency interfering in football, saving Stephen Kesh's job.
Look, my brother.
Do we see the presidency interfering this time?
I don't know. I really don't know. But every time, even if where you have state crisis, we need the president's interference. What we should be doing, let's look at this structure. There's so much powers at the center. Let's look at the structure. Let's go back to our regions. And then, you know, work Nigeria from there.
Isn't that what the National Conference has done?
Exactly. The way the structure is presently constituted, there is no hope.
It's all right.
Because even the people that are struggling to come in, they are not telling you that they want to, you know, rejig the structure. All everybody is wanting is power. And we will continue with the same problem. So we need to rework the structure.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Cool Digest.
My pleasure.
A public affairs analyst and legal practitioner. We're going to take a commercial break now. Well, get your phones handy. When we come back, I'll be joined by a resident electoral commissioner of INEC, and we'll open the phone lines for you to ask all the questions you've been waiting to ask. Stick around, don't go away.
In February 2015, Nigerians will vote for their next president. So we asked one simple question. What do Nigerians need?
A vibrant economy.
Make business better.
A safer environment for my family.
Better school for my children. Strong leadership.
Unity.
This is a beautiful country. We're enterprising, optimistic, and we are also resilient. There are many issues that affect us all, but I believe together we can resolve them and overcome them.
Schools are often inaccessible, ill-equipped, or simply not conducive learning environments. Without education, our children cannot achieve their potential.
No nation can rise above the level of educated people. Education is not a luxury, but it's a must for everybody, for every human being.
My classroom is the Nigeria of tomorrow.
Poverty is the enemy of progress. Nigeria must create opportunity for its people to thrive.
I want to work to provide for my family.
Nigeria has to empower the private sector to continue to play its role as the biggest and largest job creator. Small scale, medium scale, large scale entrepreneurs must be encouraged.
Safety and security are concerns for all Nigerians.
I want my child to grow up in a safe Nigeria.
The primary responsibility of any government, and as enshrined in our constitution, is to protect the lives and property of individuals. It is only with security that the inhabitants of this country will be able to unleash all their potentials in terms of development, in terms of enterprise. So it is essential that government pays attention.
What do Nigerians need?
A leader that understands the importance of education.
Atiku Abubakar is the founder of a chain of schools that provide quality education of a standard comparable to any country in the world.
Someone that understands the economy.
Someone to create an enabling environment for jobs.
Atiku Abubakar understands business. In fact, he's one of the largest private employers in Adamawa and Rivers states.
A leader that can unite the nation, north, south, east, and west.
Atiku Abubakar transcends tribalism and religious sentiment.
A leader with experience.
Atiku Abubakar spent 20 years in the public service, served for 8 years as Vice President of Nigeria, and was Chairman of the National Economic Council. He's qualified to lead our nation to a brighter tomorrow.
This is one of the greatest countries in Africa and in the world. This country is blessed. With the right kind of administration, this country can be transformed. So it is my desire to give back to this country all that is within my power to do. I am Atiku Abubakar. Together we can build a Nigeria for all.
Welcome back. As politicking kickstarts ahead of the 2015 general elections, you will require a platform like Core TV News to tell the nation about what your plans and what your intentions are as we count down to 2015. The numbers are scrolling on your screen and you can make your inquiries on that particular number. Now, our phone lines are open for you to call in. We're joined now in our studios by the resident electoral commissioner of INEC in Cross River State, Mike Guinea. Good morning, and thank you for finding time to join us. The last time you came, we talked about the irregularities that rocked the distribution of permanent voter cards across the nation. You were able, to an extent, show us the much job being done by INEC. But then, this season, this time around, we're going to find out what the people's reaction are and what questions they have in store for you. But let's start with, I believe that the distribution of PVC is ongoing as we speak now in Lagos State, in the remaining local governments that did not participate earlier. How would you, how do you perceive this particular distribution this time?
Well, let me just put on in a proper perspective that what we have experienced are challenges and not irregularity per se.
Okay.
But you see, I have said over and again that the success of any election anywhere in the world is not the absence of a few challenges.
Okay.
For us, as a people, as a commission, we have done what is expected of the commission to do, and we are seeing doing more in distributing the permanent voters card because of the decision that, look, by 2015, we are taking the electoral process to a higher level of bringing about enthroning the principle of one person, one vote. And that is why we opted for the use of the biometrics.
Okay.
Now, as I speak, contrary to the wrong information out there, which we'll be trying to correct, the fact is that the distribution of the permanent voters card, the PVC, actually commenced since May. The 24 states that constituted the first and second phase, distribution has been on. And please, may I inform Nigerians here that contrary to the impression that distribution of PVC were meant for only 3 days, that is not correct.
Let me just hold you for
what
a while.
we only did was that we used those 3 days to formally launch the exercise. So since May till this time, people are expected to go to INEC offices, not the local government of the chairman of the local government, INEC offices in the 774 local government, particularly the first 24 states.
If you will permit me, I'll have to be interjecting you a lot because of callers. Good morning, Ogbeifo.
Hello, Leshami, good morning.
Yeah, morning. Please go ahead with your question and comment.
Yeah, my question, I just want to ask your guest there, I want to ask him a little question. I really want to ask him is that why speak on another area but my own state here? And speak on my own area where I collect my PVC. Now, why is it that on that faithful distribution, and we discover that that day there are so many things that went wrong that day. Sometimes you will find the picture there. Then at the end of the day, they will tell you that your PVC is not there. That is one. Another one in the case again, when you have the card in which they gave you before, now when you appear on that place to collect your PVC, they will tell you that your picture is not on that place. Of course, there is no way they can give you your PVC. Now, that machine, that this so-called INEC, they try to delete and replace people's picture. I don't really understand it. Because now, these people, they have not resolved that issue in Benin. You see this on that day that is there. You see, and one thing I love about Nigeria is that even when you know you have failed, you try giving hope to people to say, yeah, really, you are working. I will tell you, you people are not working. You are not doing anything. In here in the state, you know that some kind of political leaders were caught with some machine. Even this same machine that they said there is only one unit. We discovered that it was not one to unit because as the issue proceeds, you discover that more machines were given out. And usually when you find one before, you later discover two. And those are the people that said that it was
I'm afraid I have to hold you there away from so that we'll give you the chance to contribute and answer your questions. So we'll also appreciate our callers to be very objective in your contribution. But I'm sure you heard him. Let's start with this first question.
Okay, go ahead. First, I can appreciate our brother from Edo State, Benin City, the caller. His enthusiasm, like all other Nigerians, to get their cards to both participate in the next election. Now, a few questions he has put forward, observation with respect to the collection. One, on the pasted electronic voter register on the board, because the procedure is go and check. They will paste a list there. Once you see your name, your name there, all right, and your photo, then of course you go to the distribution officer to collect your PVC. Okay. Now what he said is that you will not find your picture on that, or there's a situation where you find your name, but you go to the distribution officer and the card is not there's available. No card for you. Now, what could have happened? Two things. If in the course of, because there is a factory, somebody responds for the production. In the course of production, there are times where some of these things were skipped. It's against that background that we said, once you have that situation, there is a form that you fill immediately. You call incident form. Once you fill that form, INEC will take it from that point, and you will get a card printed for you. That is to say, you no voter. Of course, that is to say, you have checked the board. Incident form. You have checked, your name is not there, or your name is there, but there's no card printed for you. You will fill either of these two forms. Once you fill it, INEC will print a card for you. Now, in 2011, you register, but you have checked the polling units where they were distributing. You didn't see your name at all. One thing or several things would have happened. Now, recall that after the 2015 elections, we have to do what we call the office process. Now, at the office process, you discover that there are some persons, you can see their names, but there's no face to it. Or you have a situation where people do not have the required minimum threshold of your thumbprint. We collected 10 as at 2011. Okay. Now, There are some people who are having what we call zero. They don't even have thumbprint at all. Because by 2015, we are going to be using the card reader. Now, it is expected that everybody that will be, whose name will be on the valid register, whose data that will be configured on the card reader specified at every polling unit, must have the minimum of at least two initials. So where you don't have two, you have only one. Yes, of course, your name will not be on the EVR. Then you are not a person that will have to go represent yourself for registration in the CVR. That's why deliberately we decided that, look, first and foremost, let us distribute first. Once we are distributed, we now have an idea of those who don't have the card. You can now come forward and re-register. That is what we are putting in place.
Who are the people who still have the opportunity to participate in the continuous voter registration as we speak now?
Those who have attained the age, who are now have attained the age of 18. Those who don't have attained the age of 18 as at 2011, but did not register.
Okay.
All right? They are the kind of people that can come now. Or finally, those who don't register before, because either there were problems with the photo, or do not have the required minimum of 2 fingerprints, and whose name have not been found on the displayed register before collection of PVC. These are the categories of persons
I was even referring to
that would participate
to the geographical location. Are you saying everybody in Nigeria as of today still has the opportunity to participate?
No. That is why, as at May, we announced to the entire nation that we're going to go in phases. The idea was that when we started with the Anambra State, it was to give notice to all other states that we have commenced the process.
Okay.
The next thing, we went to Ekiti State. When we're in Ekiti, we announced to the whole world. Then went to Osun.
Okay.
Now, we don't have them in broad categories after these 3 states.
Let me hold you for a while, please. We have a caller from Benue. Good morning, Pa. What a name you have there. Are you there, Pa?
All right. Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Yes, I am here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead with the contribution.
All right. I'm really, really grateful to God that my lines have been able to pull through at this. I'm happy. I'm grateful to God that my call has pulled through. I wanted to speak to Mr. Igini because there was a complaint in Lagos, and he came on television defending INEC. In the state where I am, I have gone to where I registered. Till now, I've not been able to get my voter's card together with. And you see, it is unfortunate that we have young people who are supposed to be the future of this nation, but unfortunately, they defend things. We speak a lot of grammar in Nigeria. Failure is everywhere on the part of INEC in Nigeria after all the money given to them. And every time they come on air defending irregularities. You told us you are doing biometric. Today, we cannot find our pictures, we can't find our fingerprints, and you are showing us another thing on the television, telling us INEC is ready for elections. When already all over the places, in Benue State where I'm calling, I cannot tell you 2-3 people that have collected their voters, permanent voters card. So what are you defending in essence? What grammar are you speaking? What grammar are you speaking on behalf of INEC? You don't sit in the office and tell us what is obtainable on the street. What you are speaking there is grammar. What we
Well, I believe you made your point there, Pa.
So
Thank you very much for your contribution. I understand that emotions are flaring, but are you baffled at all with these feelings amongst Nigerians?
I must say there, I am the resident electoral commissioner of Cross River State. Our commitment to get the right thing done for our country is unwavering. I am sure the man who has called also do not have some measure of knowledge about my background. But I know that a number of people have not collected and that the process is ongoing even up to January, the end of January, you will still be collecting your cards. As at 2011,
that is for those who have
registered. Who have not collected. For 2011, we had a total register of 73.5 million. We have done the AFIS. The figures came down. We are also now doing CVR. I will not have a complete picture until we are through with the entire exercise. But I can tell you here that well over 50 million across the state of Nigeria have collected PVC at the moment.
Over 50 million.
Over 50 have collected.
But that number is still below the number of registered voters that we had in 2011.
But the point is that we are making progress. That's what we are saying. So it may have a major issue in Benue, as he has said. Now, apart from the 3 days, please, I want to emphasize again. The 3 days, this is the first time, if you check the history of INEC, that you take distribution to the polling unit when you are not doing general registration. The idea was that started at that point, then subsequently you move to the local government. Now, the political parties are key stakeholders in this exercise because in the 2015 election, they are the ones that will canvass for votes. They are supposed to be seen at this point in time organizing rallies in the local government where our people are domiciled to go and collect permanent voters card. Since May, I told you they are in 3 phases. We had the first 12 states. After the 12 states, in fact, when we talk about 12 states, 2 from each geopolitical zones. Now, in the second phase, that's why we Cross River, where I am the commissioner, as well as other level states participated.
How would
the last phase in Cross River, we were given a total of 1,070,000 plus. As we speak in Cross River, we have over 294,000 PVC yet to be collected. In Akwa Ibom State, they have over 200,000 yet to be collected. In the Federal Capital Territory, they have over 300,000 yet to be collected. In Ebonyi State, it is the same thing. In fact, in all the state of the Federation, offices are opened for people to go and collect.
Let me just ask you this very briefly. Does INEC as a yardstick or a standard of measuring its performance at this time? Because you made mention of 73.5 million registered voters in 2011. Yes. Do we have the number of temporary voter cards that were given out in that year? Yes. Is there a way you will compare it with the PVCs that will be collected? Because, for instance, now, if you have a decline in the number of PVCs collected relative to the temporary voters card in 2011, one can easily assume that INEC has failed.
Listen, I just told you, you must get this this is simple. In 2011, we had 73.5.
Okay.
And AFIS was run to remove multiple registration
out of that number.
Out of the entire numbers. That led to the issue that, and that affects all states, Cross River State inclusive, where I am the commissioner. You recall that in Lagos, 1.2 is out, but in the system. And I've told you that at this stage of the office, you will find people with their names, no picture. All right? At this stage, you will find people you have picture, but you don't have your thumbprint. Because in 2015, by the Nigerian from Benue State, so please note this. We are saying that we are using your biometric now because when you approach the presiding officer, once you swipe the card, your picture will show. Before you are even given a ballot, you have to put your thumbprint. That is why if you look at the distribution exercise that is ongoing, there's what we call distribution list or distribution register. You must collect it in person, not in proxy. And when you are coming to collect your PVC, as is expected to be done everywhere, you have to put your thumbprint again. We are collecting your thumbprint again to reconfirm it. Now,
And during the election, that's what you are going to use. Now, back to the question of how do you measure? In the entire state, every figure dropped. So if, for example, you are going to look at Lagos now, you'll be looking at Lagos not from the provisional figure or Cross River State, for instance. Let me talk about Cross River State.
Okay.
You are not going to be talking about the 1,1.484248. You are looking Cross River from the number of successful perseverance that have their photo image.
Let me hold you
they
for
require
another moment
biometrics
to take this call.
whose PVC have been printed. And I've just told you that I have 294,000.
Just a minute. Let's take this call from Rotimi.
That is progress. And it has not ended.
Just a
we have
minute.
up to January.
Good morning, Rotimi.
Good morning.
Yeah, please go ahead with your comments and questions.
My name is Rotimi. I'm calling from Lagos.
You're welcome.
This man is just blowing grammar because I see he said something that you don't know his background. If you are a PhD holder, if you can't do the job you have to do, you are expected to bow out and leave the place. You have gotten these things in 2011, and since 2011 you knew quite all right that you are going to conduct election in 2015. And why you don't just come in with permanent voter card just 2 months to the election when you have a whole 4 years to prepare for it? I'm an added fan. I'm a good fan of the guy, but on this issue, he has failed. He has failed the nation. Look at it. You have 4 years to prepare for something. You prepare for exam, and you are just coming out 2 weeks to 2 or 3 months to the election. Why can't we do things right in this country? God will save us. So
It's all right, Rotimi. Thank you very much for calling.
Rotimi, let me just quickly.
But you recall that the last time you were here, because you have made mention earlier on this show that the PVC distribution did not just start a few weeks ago. It started since May.
Since May.
But you recall that I also told you about how much of publicity INEC did as regards this. Because from the nature of comments we're getting from callers, it looks as if nobody was aware that any distribution actually started in May.
Good. Now, let me take it from what Rotimi said. Rotimi, I said the guy who called from Benue because of the comments he made and all that. And I said he does also have a fair idea of the fact that by my background, I'm a civil society person. The values that drive us in public service, are quite different, because we are to do everything within the framework of the law to ensure that every Nigerian that is eligible to vote must have his or her card to participate in the election. That is something we are committed to. As to the question of 4 years, it is true that we have 4 years for this exercise. Immediately after the 2011 elections, we commenced the process of preparing for the 2015 elections. By taking all the data, Mr. Rotimi, for the APIS process. Because we are going to use the card reader, we are now cleaning up the entire register, because the foundation of every credible election must be a credible register, because of the principle of one person, one vote. So all those who had multiple registration, we had to eliminate them. Take Lagos, for instance. Lagos had the highest data in the entire country. So when they started the process, for example, Cross River is just 1 million plus. There are some states like just about 700,000, 900,000 in the whole state.
Do you have
Nigeria.
the similar challenges?
I'm just coming. No, just hold on. Now, he started running the process since latter part of 2012. They have been running the entire process, cleaning up the entire in the 36 states. Lagos has 6,108,069 registered voters. Lagos equal about 5 to 6 states in Nigeria. So even when you started at the same time, you understand, it is expected that the cleanup process of ensuring that those who have their minimum required biometrics, their photo are cleaned up to now be on what we call the valid register, will be much earlier than Lagos Kaduna, Rivers, Delta, and those states.
Let's take
now,
this call
we don't
from
also have to
Abuja.
wait for all the states to be true. We started the process by so instead of waiting for everybody, let's start it in phases. So once we are through with this state, then we start go and distribute. That's why we started since May.
Let's hear from Mohammed. Just a minute. Let's hear from Mohammed. He's calling from Abuja.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mohammed.
Yes. So, what I'm saying is, I hope what they are saying, if you make a mistake, you didn't get your voter card where you have done it before, I hope if you go to the center in the local government, I hope you will find it easy to collect. Because sometimes, if you went there, you will not get it easy. You will find it difficult before you get it. You know, you will make it like 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 there, but I want INEC, please, let them take care in that area. Please, let them not to suffer people to go and collect it again. You know, sometimes you will spend hours on the line before you got those ones. Maybe if you make mistake before you go in that center, then now you go direct to the local government where the center is. Before you get it, you will maybe spend 3 days there. You know, why INEC are making so difficult to we Nigerians? And please, I want INEC to take care on that, to do everything simple. Immediately when you come, you now get it.
It's all right.
That is my advice. Go direct to the INEC.
Thank you. We appreciate your contribution,
you see,
Mohammed.
Again, you still have to go to the local government before you can talk about the problem. I am just a bit, I don't say I'm a bit surprised, because if right now, for example, the 9 local governments where we started in Lagos here, for instance, I mean the 11, where we had our exercise, people can now go to the local government. You just go there and you collect your PVC. Part of what I was surprised that many people are not even aware of that. And despite the fact that the commissioner here in Lagos, I have seen him over and again. And before we started the entire exercise, we have to set up, what we call a publicity committee. Since May, we had what we call the NICVEM, the National Interagency Committee on Voters Education and Publicity, to draw more attention to this coming up exercise. In Cross River and some other states, we even carry out what we call road show to draw attention to this exercise. We did all of that to draw everybody's attention.
We're putting this segment.
But in any case, the assurance is that, you see, once after those 3 days that were meant to formally launch the exercise, you go to your local government, you will not have problem in your local government. In Cross River, people go to the local government to collect this car. In fact, the problem we are worried now that people don't come up to collect. That's why we are saying that political parties, what are you doing?
We have
you
just
are supposed
about
to have what you call do rallies to mobilize people to go and collect their PVC.
Let's we have just about 2 minutes to round off now. But we've also had calls as regards, because you talk about going to the local government. Many have talked about the attitude of INEC officials, even at this local government level. The volume, the number of people they meet there, the accessibility, of your officials
in the
at
local
that
government.
Level.
Because the person that called, he has not been there. He just envisaged that.
No, I am telling you what we've heard, because we do this every day, and we get contributions from across Nigeria. We have heard someone, there's a particular man that calls from Abuja. He said he's even contesting, and that he has not been able to collect his permanent voter's card. So you understand the intensity of this challenge. So it's not just lip service, but beyond all of this, do you think that, because you talked about multiple registration, many have also questioned that.
We have dealt with all of that.
Do you think that INEC could have done better?
Look, the success of every aspect of the electoral process is a reflection of the commitment of other stakeholders.
Okay.
Don't forget that if you look at, I show you this here. If you look at this pyramid here, this is a pyramid of election duties. INEC in Nigeria, we're just about 12,000 people. And this is not unique to Nigeria. All over the world, just few people, volunteers. If you look at the red column here, they are Nigerians, youth corpers, university teachers. The registration exercise we are talking about, we have to engage the youth corpers. We recruited over 500,000 people. We have to train them on this use of this computer. All right? So if there are challenges, and of course they are in terms of what we had when we were doing the registration exercise in 2011. It is not for us to say because of that. We have to take all of those challenges. And that's what we have been doing, systematically cleaning up the entire exercise. By ensuring that the data you have right now, because at the moment, despite some of these things, I actually have the most comprehensive biometric database of Nigerians.
That's all right.
So that by 2015, whoever that you have on the card reader must be somebody who has a valid PVC.
Mike Igeni.
Authenticated before giving the ballot paper.
Thank you very much for finding time to join us today on Call Digest. He's the resident electoral commissioner of Cross River State. Now we got calls from Benue, from Ekiti, from Abuja, and the rest of the country today. Thank you very much for your contribution, and we hope that to an extent you've been able to feel the pulse of Nigerians, and you take this message back to Professor, and let's see how we can tidy up these details. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thank you for watching. The show continues tomorrow. A big thank you to the production crew, and stick around for the news at the top of the hour. Don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.